The following is a college course based on the textbooks Marketing and Marketing the Core, written by Karen Berkowitz Hartley and Rodelius, and published by McGraw-Hill Irwin Publishers. Thousands of new or improved products are introduced into the marketplace every year. This is the lifeblood of a market economy. Typically, new products may account for more than 1/3 of a company's sales, but for every success, there are countless failures. Over the years, marketers have discovered ways to minimize risk and maximize opportunity through a systematic process for new product development. In creating new goods and services, companies are constantly looking for ways to satisfy customer needs while minimizing the risks associated with development. For example, firms in the automotive industry can sometimes increase their odds of new product success by using the services of third-party consultants, such as Stadium Competitions.
Okay, try to accent them if you could with a little gleam of something, a little sparkle.
Maybe give them a little bit of sparkle, huh? Okay.
Jerry Stansberry and his team provide a range of support services to motor vehicle manufacturers, including product research, design, and engineering.
Basically, we don't have a finished product. We don't build the doorknob and then take it out and sell it. What we do is we're providing a service to our client that starts out with the design and the development of something. I do things with cars, with trucks, with motorcycles, with boats, in dirt, on pavement, on water. It can be anywhere from helping a manufacturer decide where he needs to get with his product that he's developing, how he's going to develop that product, what it's going to look like, and it goes on and on and on.
In addition to providing product design and engineering services, Stadium Competitions also promotes and manages racing events where new products can be put to the test in extreme conditions.
If they are creating product, they need to validate this product in some way. So what they do is they give us that product, and we may bolt it on a race car, we may bolt it on a production vehicle. There's a lot of different ways to do research and development. But yes, what we have is a race car, for instance, to go race the Baja 1000. We may have as many as 30 items bolted on this race car, which doesn't help it in competition whatsoever. But what it does do is create the test bed for research and development to validate a product that is going to be on a vehicle 2 years from now in a production line that you and I might be driving down the highway.
Technically speaking, in the world of marketing, a product is a good, service, or idea offered by a company that satisfies a consumer or industrial need. For example, the Chevrolet Trailblazer produced by General Motors, or the services offered by Stadium Competitions. A product line is a group of products sold by a company that have some characteristics, customers, or uses in common. They may also share technologies, channels of distribution, and fall within a given price range. For instance, the Trailblazer is part of Chevrolet's line of sports utility vehicles. A company's product mix includes all the different product lines it offers. For example, Chevrolet's product mix includes all its cars, trucks, SUVs, and vans. Stadium Competitions uses its own product mix, including its design and engineering services, to help automotive clients such as General Motors develop their new products. In the automotive industry, a new product can be an entirely new car or new components of that car, such as the engine.
What they're doing is trying to come up with new product line. Obviously, we're all driving new cars every year, and there's a new product line that comes out every year. And what they're trying to do is come up with some niche in the market that is different than the competition has. So whether it be internal in the engine design or the powertrain design or the body or the full-on car, they're looking for something new every year in order to sell it to the general public.
Successful innovations in any industry often begin with the new product process. This is a series of actions used to find business opportunities that can be turned into marketable goods and services. A company has to evaluate their new product idea at each stage of the process to see if it should be developed further. During the first step, new product strategy development, managers determine how the new product will fit into the company's overall strategic plan.
Sometimes a client comes to me with just this clean sheet of paper. And when he does that, he has his purpose and he needs to get to the bottom line. There was a client who came to me with an inline 6-cylinder engine. This was on a piece of paper. They hadn't even built the first engine yet. And what they wanted to do was market this engine and show the validity of this engine racing against the V8s. So they could show that a 6-cylinder could beat an 8-cylinder. When the motor validation project came to us, there were actually two goals. One was to develop this engine and make it a viable product. But the other thing was to give it a name that was identifiable to the general public. A marketing tool, if you will, of identifying the engine from now on that goes inside your car, as opposed to just identifying with the body that's on the outside. So what they're doing from a marketing angle to the public is if you go out and you buy an SUV, you may not anymore necessarily be doing it to buy the product line of the body style, but you may be buying it for the power line that's in there, which in this particular case was called Vortec, which also duplicated the marketing value of not only giving it a name, but here is a brand new product as well.
In this early stage, managers also identify the markets for which the new product will be developed, who they will target as potential customers.
One of the things when they come to me that I have to think about is the demographic of people that they're trying to reach with the finished product. So sometimes I may choose a race venue that is based more on the people that are watching the event, more so than the people that we're racing in front of and worrying about the race, because the identification to that demographic of people is the same demographic of people that they're going to try to sell the finished product to 2 and 3 years down the road. And then what I do is I just hand it over to Don and say, okay, Don, now this has happened, go make it happen. So
Many companies use cross-functional teams when developing new products. These are groups of people from different departments within a company, including marketing, research and development, production, and finance, who can work together to develop new products.
And we hold a core meeting every month. And at this core meeting, we all sit around the table. We, meaning Ed, representing the client, the engineer that designed the race car, the graphics people who are going to work on the car, the crew chief who is in charge of all the crew that are going to work on the car, the driver, myself. When we all come together and have this core meeting once a month, every month until the project's totally finished, it gives us the opportunity for all of the heads that are making all of the decisions to be in one place at one time, get those decisions, and then move forward.
Once the new product strategy has been developed, it's time to generate ideas that will eventually become the foundation of the new offering. In this stage, a company comes up with different product concepts that could fill the strategic roles established in the previous stage.
You guys have me buried in the sea. Like if I moved down, I wouldn't have a problem.
A company's new product ideas can come from many different sources, but the majority are generated internally through employees and research and development departments.
Actually, some of the clients that I have, which are rather large clients in General Motors and Toyota both, they have a full staff of engineer and design people, and they are there constantly. That's their job, day in and day out, to constantly come up with these new ideas, new designs, and then it's our job to take it from there and make it become reality. And there were a group of engineers and design people that got together and had the idea. But it ultimately comes down to a driving force of one person. And I'll use his name, Ed, here. He was the driving force behind the project. So when the group of individuals within this corporation got together and decided we need another engine that we can push because what we have is stagnant, then it ultimately fell on Ed to push the thing through. And that's when he came to me, not only in the building and the design of this engine, but the development of the engine.
To help develop their ideas, companies again call on cross-functional teams that can bring different talents and perspectives to the same project.
My contribution to the project was the ideas stemming to the way the vehicle looked and application and how we were going to make it happen. We brainstormed. Jerry, a lot of times he'll give you freedom of expression or application on the way you lay out the design of the graphics. He just gives me a blank sheet and he gives me ideas on the direction he'd like to go and the direction the sponsors would like to go. And we all come together to form this final product.
New product ideas can also come from external sources, such as suppliers, investors, or customers.
All of my clients get their base of ideas from the general public, actually. What they do is they have feeder groups that go out and get input back from the general public, also from the media. We do test drives with the media in different locations and let them take the product out, and then they start saying, well, they would like to see this, they would like to see that. So then the design people take those ideas and put them into reality.
A company's product ideas can be generated by keeping an eye on and staying ahead of the competition. The objective, of course, is to make new products superior to competing products.
That was our challenge, was to find the place. So while they developed their engine and made their engine from a piece of paper into an actual real product, I was out researching places where we could go in, figure out how we could take this engine and beat the competitors with it. So then they could market that later on how their engine is much more efficient and has more horsepower than the V8s of the competitors.
After gathering new product ideas, the development team analyzes each concept in the screening and evaluation stage and eliminates those that aren't worth further consideration. Internally, the firm needs to determine if it's technically and financially feasible to proceed.
The approach with a client that I have, again, begins with listening to what it is that they're looking for. Even back when I was building racetracks, and I used to build supercross tracks and off-road tracks, and I would design something on a piece of paper, and then I would go out and build the track, and then I would change that track every time a bike or a car hit the track. And I never ever built the same track twice, and I never ever built it the way I designed it on paper. Well, even today, the business is still the same way. The client will come to me and he'll give me their first impressions of what they're trying to accomplish. I'll go out and see what I want to do, and as we start doing it, this marriage begins to happen. And they start thinking of things that we hadn't thought of before. I see things that I hadn't thought of before, and inevitably what happens by the time we get to the end of the project, we're all smiles because we learned things, we saw things, we adapted, we adjusted, and accomplished the goal. A new idea on paper always looks good, and it makes perfect sense. But there are a lot of times that once we fabricate that product and we build it and we put it out there and we test it and we run it, they look at it and they say, well, it wasn't such a good idea after all. And we all sit down and we agree to the same thing. Just like when we agree from one side to the other that this is a good thing, we can disagree as well and say it's just not going to work out. When my client came to me with this engine drawn on this piece of paper, there was a good theory of what they wanted to accomplish, and then I took that and we started building the race car. So it's one of those corporate things that a group get together, they get the decision made that yes, we're going to do this project, and they come up with the funding to do it. And then I have to move forward and hand it over to my team, and then my team hands it over to the driver, and it's just stacks right on down.
What are the things that are important to you when you're buying a new car?
Price.
Price is good.
Color.
Also in this stage, a company needs to know if consumers will accept the product. It can find this out through concept testing, presenting customers with drawings, explanations, or descriptions even before there is an actual product. By doing this, the development team can obtain valuable information that will increase the odds of market success. Before a company goes any further and invests more money, it must answer some tough questions in the business analysis stage.
So you have the North Star system, the 66, the big Cadillac Crest.
What specific features will the product offer? How much will it cost to produce? And how will the product be marketed? At this point, a company needs to explore the size of the market, assess the market attractiveness, estimate future sales and the costs of production. The development team will also determine if the new product can be protected with a patent, copyright, or trademark. Business analysis determines the market or business feasibility, much as the screening and evaluation stage determined the technical feasibility.
One of the things that I first have to do is sit down and create a business analysis of what this is going to cost and how we're going to get to this point. Because somewhere down the line, all of the numbers still have to crunch out and work for everyone, not only for my company, but for my client as well. This particular car, for instance, was only going to race one race. We ended up racing it 7 times. But everybody understood that as we went through because things were going good. Usually when that happens, things are going good and they want to do more and more and more. Well, more and more and more costs more and more money. So when you have that flexibility and you go to them and show them the changes because the analysis went from here to here now, it was a good thing. And as long as everybody's in agreement and everybody knows that up front, we blend right on through, the budgets adjust, and we accomplish the goal.
Once a new product receives a favorable evaluation in the business analysis stage, the development process begins. At this point, all that was learned in the previous stages is combined in the production of a prototype, a producible example of the product that can demonstrate its effectiveness. The development team then performs tests on the prototype to ensure it functions properly and meets the standards and objectives set by the company.
Each engineer and each design person that comes to us with a different product, and their needs are different every time. They may be wanting, again, to test how hard it lasts, how good it is, what it looks like after a beating. There's a number of things involved. They will bring us a prototype, and we actually start out sitting around a table, and we're looking at this prototype, and we're all agreeing that this is what we want to do and how we want to accomplish it. There's about 1.5 years worth of testing, and you can have anywhere from 10 test sessions to 70 test sessions in that 1.5 year time, depending on how quick the development of the engine's going. When we go out and we test like that, and in this particular case, we don't touch the engines at all. The engines come to us as a complete package. As we got the first engine and we put it in the car, then things started changing. Things that the engineers found out that they weren't anticipating, things that we found out that we weren't anticipating. There was a good marriage that happened there as well, too, because as the engineers and the design people and the driver, and we were all throwing these ideas around, then what looked good on paper originally started changing. And it started developing into a different mode because they started seeing the things that they thought were going to happen a certain way. Some things were positive, some things were negative. That's all that happens in the development of any product, whether you're building the car or you're building the engine itself. So we'll have a whole stack of engines, and we will go out and we'll start testing. And if one of them goes bad, we pull it out, complete engine. We don't ever open it up. We hand it to them. We ship it back to their plant, and they do an autopsy on it. They find out what they find out, and then they ship us another engine back. And it's a continuing process till they get it to where they want it.
It's pretty bad, like whenever the radar being said, it's like with the worst bump of all.
Yeah.
It definitely carries the rear.
Was it doing that the same thing as what it was doing
Yeah,
before?
it does it. It'll do it on every time on that jump.
Okay.
It definitely was. It seemed a little more pronounced this time.
This morning.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so watch.
A key element in this stage is driver input.
Well, when we get done testing, I'll come right straight back to our semi where our pit area is set up, and I'll immediately, the crew chief will come up to me and have a list of questions. How are the brakes? How do you think the motor's running? Is it responsive? I'll have a big list of stuff, and I'll immediately, because I'm so fresh in my head that I can answer all these questions right away. He'll make notes. They'll go back to the shop and make any changes that we need to, we learned throughout the testing, and just start working on the vehicle again, and we'll go back out. We'll continue testing until it's perfect.
Once we get through with that, we have a massive download session. Again, it's the mechanics, it's the driver, it's the engineers, it's the design people, and we may sit for 4 to 5 hours after a test session going over all of the data that we learned. What happens then is they come to us and they hook us up with what they call a brand team. This brand team would be the type of vehicle that this product is going to be in when it comes out on the market. We took a Trailblazer body, we created a body that is functional to go on the race car, which again, that's what everybody's going to see. So you have your engine that we've been testing, and now we have a body style, which is what that engine's going to come out in on the assembly line to the general public.
In its development stage, the Vortec engine needed to be tested even further.
So what we did then is I went and found two different venues. One was in Pikes Peak, one was in Baja, for two totally different reasons. The Pikes Peak was more of a short race, a little sprint, if you will, of only 12 miles. And the race that we were going to race in the desert was 2,000 miles. So what we were doing was showing the quickness of the engine, as well as the durability of the engine over a long run.
With development completed, a company typically moves its new product into the market testing stage. To find out if prospective customers will buy the new product, managers need to expose that product to their target market and get feedback. This testing can be conducted either in a lab or the marketplace.
We'll take vehicles out and we'll let the media drive those cars, and then they give us feedback. And what they're doing is asking for not only, again, the driveline of it, the power of the vehicle, but all those little specifics inside the car, where the window washer does things, and you have GPS now, and all of those items come in. But it's feedback that they're getting from the general public, and then what they try to do at that point in time is incorporate it into the car for the next selling service.
Stadium Competitions used similar market testing methods in another automotive project.
The Cadillac division was right in the middle of changing their marketing from an older demographic to a younger demographic. So what we did was we took the Cadillac, just like it's always been, and we had 3 cars that we built, and we selected 3 different drivers. One of the drivers was a young man who had been in the X Games to attract to that younger demographic, driving their Cadillac. The other one we went to then was a lady. She was actually an NHRA motorcycle racer that we put in a Cadillac to attract the female demographic. And then we went with a gentleman named Mark Miller, who is a stockbroker, deals with $40 million worth of stock every day, and a family man. And we put him in the 3rd Cadillac. And we had the 3 of them race. And that marketing strategy was taking the basic Cadillac, not any different, but putting it in a motorsports background, but then selecting the 3 different drivers that would attract the market to hopefully bring them to that vehicle.
Test marketing is not used for all products. It can be costly and time-consuming. However, some companies will roll out a new product in a small area of the country, and the sales in that test market can be used as the basis for forecasting national sales. The new product process concludes with commercialization, when the new product is positioned, launched, and reaches full-scale production and mass distribution.
Developing a product such as this in that manner sometimes happens because they're doing this years and years and years in advance. They're not doing it last minute and then deciding at the last minute on what to do. The engineers and the design people have spent hours and hours and hours, years and years ahead, trying to create these perfect packages for you, the public. So when this product is finished and it hits the production line, all of the hard work and the research, the development, the validation, all of those things are already done. So once everybody's completed everything that they've needed to complete, it's now time to present that product to the general public. And what they did in the Vortec Trailblazer program is they asked us to bring the vehicle to Detroit, which we did. And when they introduced the product to the general public, they did it through our venue with our race car, and that's where they introduced it.
At this stage, new products don't sell themselves. They need well-conceived marketing plans and specific methods of promotion. Stadium Competitions helped launch and position the Vortec engine by validating and showcasing its benefits of durability and fuel economy.
The engine was very reliable and very durable, and it just kept purring the whole race. We were actually running the race at a lower capacity of what the engine was able to develop, because what our theory was that if we maintained a certain speed with an engine that's very durable, we could just keep racing while everybody else is having problems. We also did it with fuel economy. We knew that this engine would drink less fuel than the 8 cylinders would drink, and that's exactly what this engine did. It drank less, we ran longer, we ended up winning the race.
Stadium Competitions also was instrumental in helping establish the brand and name recognition of the Vortec engine for its client, General Motors. This recognition was very important when GM actually commercialized their new product.
So everything that we did in this validation program was not only to validate research and development on the engine and build this engine up and make it a good race part, plus another piece that would go in your production car. It was also to identify it with a name that the public would go for. And this is something that actually has caught on, because now my client is convinced that people are going and buying that particular brand of car because it has that engine in it, and that engine, which is what won the Baja 500. So there was a marketing aspect of saying, here is another way to create a name, an identifiable name with the general public that would make them want to buy this product.
New product planning and development is the lifeblood of companies in the 21st century. It is critical for growth and profit and competitive advantage. Product innovations can expand existing markets and create new ones.
In the big picture, when you come to the end of everything, when what all was accomplished, winning the race was important to those who like racing. But in the big picture of marketing and all, what we did accomplish was using the name Vortec, getting that out to the general public, and them identifying to it. And then the engine itself backing up what that name represented. And that was exactly what the client wanted. So people now go to the dealership to buy a vehicle that has a Vortec engine in it. That was the goal, that was the purpose, and that's what we accomplished.
The new product road is filled with pitfalls, but a company can increase its odds of success by following a systematic development process that can reduce risk and maximize opportunities. Using these techniques, Jerry Stansberry and his stadium competitions take their clients' products from concept to the finish line and a checkered flag.